Just listen.
At underlying conditions. If so, is this the state's first teenage death? And can you tell us if the teenager in question had underlying conditions?
Had underlying conditions? Listen to her response.
I don't have that information at my disposal at this time. I know we have had people of all age groups dying of COVID. So the case definition is very simple.
Okay.
If so, is this
So
this case? If so, is this the state's first?
So the question here is a simple question. It's a simple yes or no. And he needs to get some other chick to speak for him because he can't he's in a gag order. He's under what's called a gag order. He cannot speak on the reality of what is counted as a coronavirus death. So he gets the handler. Watch.
First teenage death, and can you tell us if the teenager in question had underlying conditions?
Question doesn't really matter. Just watch the response.
I don't have that information at my disposal at this time. I know we have had people of all age groups die. I just want to be clear in terms of the definition of people dying of COVID. So
She
the
just wants
case
to be clear.
definition is very simplistic. It means at the time of death, it was a COVID positive diagnosis. So that means that if you were in hospice and had already been given, a few weeks to live, and then you also were found to have COVID, that would be counted as a COVID death. It means that even if you died of a clear alternate cause, but you had COVID at the same time, it's still listed as a COVID death. So
You hear that?
Everyone who's listed as a COVID death doesn't mean that was the cause of the death, but they had COVID at the time of death.
She just cleared it up. I see the seal of something of the, what is that? Illinois. It's that she just cleared it up. Okay. Now we're coming out the water now. We're coming up out. We got to the surface. All right. We're above water now. Okay. We know it's. Yeah. We're gonna make it now. You see, because we've been saying this the whole time. Our position hasn't gone any from day one. You can go back to the day one. You can go as far back as you want with my posts, all the way back, and you'll see us screaming bullshit, complete bullshit. If you can't show me my neighbors being pulled out of their houses, and you have a miraculous staged scene at the hospitals I drive by all the time and see no one in, then you got a problem. You got a little bit of a truth problem because, yeah, you done screwed up, and y'all are about to get caught making someone on YouTube's gonna make a giant. That's why you guys are removing anything that questions it because it's so bad, it's in people's faces. But you have to rely on the stupidity, the dumbfounded, dumbed down, child-minded public. They're like kids that want to believe everything mommy tells them. Okay? And it is like mommy. Okay? Because if mommy, insisted that that Santa Claus was real, you believe that until people start talking, until the kids start talking. And then the older kids who started finding out, started using their critical thinking, saying, "Hey, wait a minute." And then where did you find out? How did you find out? That's right, from the bigger kids, from the older kids. Someone came along and said, "Hey, I heard it's bullshit." And then you started thinking, you're like, "Wow, you know what? It does seem kind of like bullshit." Well, what do you think's going on here? Your critical thinking, even when you're just like a little kid who doesn't want to believe it at first. It's okay. It's perfectly normal. But you're still, in the back of your head, you're like, wait a minute. This is really panning out to be bullshit. You're looking around. You haven't seen one person get... You know what I saw the medics doing the other day? the whole entire force rolling up to someone's house and singing them happy birthday. They ain't busy dragging bodies out their houses, that's for sure. So, you know, we got a huge problem here, people. We have two worlds going on, and in our world, we're suffering in our world, and the rich motherfuckers that built up their little world, that's giving us this puppet show. They're sitting back with all of their cool shit and their good shit that they collected and took control of, and they're not worried about it. There's only a few people at the top worried right now, because that's going to determine the direction of everything. Okay, and that's gold and resources, farming, um, all that shit. So, this was a big one for me right here. Sometimes the stuff can be right in front of your face, and it won't hit you right at the beginning. But even though I've been saying bullshit this whole time, I'm still blown away that she came out and literally said that in front of her state seal. So, I don't know who she is. I don't know who she works for. But we all know that no one gets up on a podium like that unless what they say rides. Okay? And if it doesn't, you get up in front of a podium like that, someone has, if it ain't true, someone has to come back up and apologize for that person and say it wasn't true. Who wants to be that one? Right? So that ain't going anywhere. She won't have her job next year, guarantee that, but yeah, that ain't going anywhere. So she's not in the know for some reason. I don't know what happened there. But some states, opted out of this. I know Illinois is, oh yeah, they're sold out. But I shouldn't say that like I know it. But there's a few states that didn't give into this for some reason. Um, and I was gonna, just for my own sake, I was gonna go look at the numbers to that, see what's going on with those numbers. Because speaking of numbers, you want to know what the weirdest thing? The weirdest part about this whole situation was New York having 10 times bigger numbers than California. Imagine that, huh? Yeah. Yeah, there's something wrong with that one.